Good morning. Welcome back to Dartmoor Reach Yoga and Glamping YouTube channel. My name's Josh, and this morning we are very excited because we are going to be meeting our architect and discussing our off-grid straw bale house build. I've only decided it's going to be off-grid this week. We're already off-grid on water and off-grid on gas. So the only thing left to do is go off-grid on electric. And I was chatting to a friend of mine this week who has installed some solar panels, and from what he was saying, for his investment, which wasn't small, but he is basically, his electric bills are almost down to zero now, and the less bills that you have coming in from these hideous corporations, the better in my book. So that's all very exciting. What we are going to be discussing this morning with our architect Andy is we're just going to make sure that we are happy with the type of build that we're going to be doing when it comes to straw bale houses. You have three different options really with how the structural element is going to go. One of those is a load bearing straw bale wall, and what I mean by that is the straw bales take the whole load of the roof above and any floors above. You create the strong wall by stacking the straw bales on top of each other and then ratcheting them down, compressing them as far as they can go pretty much, and then putting the roof on. That option, although it was my first choice, isn't going to be the way that we do it, and the reason for that is that we are now under pressure to get the build done as quickly as possible. We're in January now and we want it all watertight, roof on, windows in by the winter. And I have a feeling, and this might not be the case, but I have a feeling that if we were going to go for a load bearing wall house, I think that building control will have a few questions to ask about it, and there might be a bit of toing and froing for them to be happy with the design, and all the toing and froing takes time. You know, they might ask a question, it goes back to our architect, that takes a week, then it goes back to them, they might take a week to reply. It all takes time, and it's not worth the hassle of and losing that really critical time for when the weather gets good so we can start building. So that's the reason. The other reason for not wanting to go for the load bearing wall straw bale house is that I know that you will be limited to mortgage companies and lenders who are willing to lend out on a property of that type of build, that type of structure. There are companies out there, the Ecology Mortgage Company is one of them, which will by all accounts lend on straw bale house builds, load bearing straw bale house builds, but you are limited, you're very limited to the mortgage companies that will lend on that type of house. So those two reasons is why I'm not going for that type of build. The other second option that you could go for is building a pretty heavy duty timber frame, probably out of green oak or some softwood, but a serious timber frame. You're talking sort of minimum 8x8 post and beams, probably bigger for the sort of spans that we're looking at. And so I did consider that. I feel that I have the carpentry experience and the build experience to be able to make a frame like that. But again, that would take time. I could make it down in my barn over the next sort of couple of months. But that is time that I could spend on doing other jobs that need doing before the build takes place. And another reason that I'm probably not going to do that type of build is there is a big cost to the frame. The frame itself, I imagine, would cost between £15,000 and £25,000. I could be wrong on that. That would be if someone else was building the frame for you. If you were to go to a timber framer, someone that specialises in building that type of big timber frame, that's probably what it would cost. If I was to build it myself, obviously I'd just be looking at the cost of the timber. I'm guessing that would be anything from £5,000 to £10,000 for the cost of the timber. That is a guess. But because I'm not a carpenter, it would take me a while to build the frame. I would have to learn certain joints. It would be quicker to put that out to a company that specialised in timber framing of that sort. So that is what put me off that option. The third option, and the option that I think we're going to go for, is what they call a hybrid build, which is using a lightweight timber frame made from off-the-shelf timbers that you'd be able to buy from any builder's merchant. And it can be easily constructed on site, and rather than having to use these big beams and posts that I was talking about, sort of anything up to 8x8 or 10x10, you can actually make up these posts on site using smaller timbers bolted together. So if you wanted like an 8x8 post, you would get 4 8x2 posts and bolt them together to make up the 8x8. That would also involve having less big lorries delivering to site, because access is a little bit of an issue here. We can get rigid lorries down, but not Arctics. Definitely can't get Arctics down here. So that is the option that we're going to go for. It's going to be a bit cheaper to build, and I'm going to be able to do the framing myself, which is a big tick, saving money. So yeah, this is quite a long video coming up. It's probably going to be over an hour. There will be some interesting bits of information in here. It will be a lot more interesting to people that are doing a straw bale house build themselves, or thinking about doing a straw bale house build, or for anyone that is just interested in straw bale house building. Also, we'll look a little bit at the layout of the house, the plans that I have designed, and we will discuss any problems that the architect can see with the house design. Obviously, I have no experience when it comes to designing houses particularly, but I do know the layout that I would like, and the reason that I've designed the house the way I've designed it is primarily for ease of build for one man. So it is sort of designed as a bungalow, really. So you're not really going to need big scaffolding and things like that. So yeah, we are about to sit down with the architect and talk through all these different ideas and issues, and I hope you find the video interesting. Any questions that you've got, please just put them in the comment section below and we can reply to those. And also like and subscribe this video, please. And yeah, I hope you find it a good view.
The way of the world.
It is, yeah.
Right. Let's, so we're discussing sort of build options.
Yep.
Or
So
is there anything else that we need to discuss first?
no, I think the first thing is just the design that you've got for your planning, and making
Yeah.
sure you're happy with that, and we just effectively sign up because we've got that sketch that you sent through.
Yeah,
Just on some minor changes,
yeah,
and I think we can make those changes. But just be aware of the sort of planning position. So these were the ones that you were saying, just to close this wall off.
yes,
And swap these two round, which I think in principle is going to be fine.
yeah. So
What close the?
yeah, I just thought about closing that off because basically here is going to be the back of the house facing down towards the cabins. It's not going to get
Right.
any summer light in the daytime, really, is it?
Yeah,
Because it's facing the wrong way. All the sunlight is going to be over this side, and I just thought, is that really going to be used?
Yeah.
And I also thought just building this wall sort of in here, this return, it's just added work that might not need to be done.
So it'd be more. So it's putting planning aside, it'd be more efficient. So effectively, all you're doing from a planning point of view, just bring that wall there to there.
Yes, yeah,
So what that does is then saves all this insulated wall.
yeah,
On and there's something called form factor. So the more articulation the building has, the less efficient it is to heat.
and also
the more simple it is.
cost to build.
Yeah, exactly.
More time.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the main reason I looked. I just thought, it's a nice idea. Maybe if we're in the south of France or something, and it was so hot in the afternoon where you needed a bit of escape from the sun, but how often are we going to have that? And also, I just kind of looked at it and thought, well, maybe that will still stay there, but we'll just have a French window here rather than there.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can close it off and open it as you feel.
Exactly.
So yeah, you can have it like as open, but inside and shaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I know that you said, look, to do this by the book, we ought to go back to planning. I'm happy to not bother going back to planning and treat it as if they say anything, we'll go back and do a retrospective. I just can't see there being an issue with it. I know that where you stand, you need to mitigate all the risks and that, but I'm happy with just carrying on. And to be honest with you, I doubt building control will notice. And I doubt the planners will ever notice.
Building control won't be connected to planning at all,
No.
so they don't get involved. They just do the build bit. But the planning, the elevation will be the same because you've got glass there, and that's just going to there.
So it won't really look any different.
So technically, it's a change, but really, there's no material difference to the planning position on it.
So then, the only thing that I thought then was, if this is going to move, or if this is now going to be sort of inside, then obviously a window doesn't work there. Well, it would be fine, but it would just sort of be looking in to the sort of dining area. So maybe swap the bathroom for your office. Put the office there, bathroom there. Bathroom could be a little bit bigger, possibly a shower in there as well. Shower, bath, basin, toilet. Because
And no window in the office.
Well, you could have it's going to be an easier window to manage if it's an office because there's not going to be the ventilation issues associated with the bathroom, so you can still have a window there, and that will still be a light space, won't it? So you get something called borrowed light through.
Also, still have a window going into the
like,
inside.
like we did here in your old office. I mean, it won't be as light, obviously, but I think the bathroom makes more sense to get as much natural light as possible.
Yeah, we need a shower.
The other thing to consider is, so we will talk about the structure in a minute, but if you go for the vaulted roof thing where you've got the insulation in the roof zone, so it depends on how the mezzanine works and all that kind of stuff, but you can potentially drop a light down from above.
Okay. Well, you say that, but the planning has said that we can't put in any roof lights.
Right, okay, yeah, good point. Okay. Yeah.
Which, again, they probably wouldn't ever notice, but it would be a big change to rectify if they did.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, these two bits we can almost sort of make it up as we go, really. I know that you'd want your office ideally with a window looking out. I mean, it's how to utilise this
big.
space that we've got without making any changes that require us going back to planning. I mean, to be honest with you, I even thought, Andy, that I would probably quite like a window in here, which I might just put in and
Yeah.
you know what I mean, because the kitchen dining area, although that's a nice big opening there,
Is that patio doors?
yes,
Yeah.
it could have really done with a window there. I don't know why I didn't do that originally, but I was looking to put in as few windows as possible because every opening costs money as well.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. It's always a hard balance to strike, isn't it? That kind of because you start driving towards a budget. I think that's the driving factor.
But then you want it to
Then you're
actually
looking
be
at a
nice.
house, and then you're thinking, well, gosh, I want it to be this, this, and this.
Yeah.
I mean, someone else already has said that this possibly would be a sort of darkish area. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, with those big doors there,
I think definitely a window.
but that's something that we would just have to do and put in retrospective or hope for the best that they do.
Well, what we can do, we can sign off the technical package with whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what you'll still have an updated set of plans and elevations.
Yeah.
So that the actual application process is quite straightforward.
Right.
It's just the risk associated with it, and I don't think the risk is big
No.
because the principle of dwelling's already been agreed.
Mm.
You know, I think if it had gone in with that window in it, would have been agreed anyway.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
no one's going to really complain. There's no overlooking. So I think just getting it to be what you want, and then let's just look at the amount of changes that represents and see if it's worth submitting for a variation of condition.
It's not. It won't be.
Yeah. Okay.
I won't want to go back to them. I've had enough of them now.
Yeah.
I don't want anything. Well, just to while I think about it, actually, I put in. I meant to print this off. I actually drew up the landscaping plan myself.
Yeah.
And put that in, and they emailed back and said, "You won't hear back from us till end of February about that."
Right. Yeah. So that condition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just looked at that and thought, well, if that's going to take till the end of February, we don't want to be putting in anything else.
They're just in a complete meltdown. To be honest, everything's really slow.
So I guess the only thing that I might say to you is there anything like that you would just obviously do here, which would change things, but not change massively the actual?
No, I think you've got it kind of more or less where you want it to be. So there's no major changes. So you've got an entrance porch, utility. I mean,
what's this? Is this a gap or?
That's a wall.
That's a wall.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So what that will happen is those, because your insulated envelope is going to go back there, which is quite a good thing. Then these walls become thinner, so they will be a little bit bigger.
Yeah. So basically, these walls will turn into a little wall, stuck wall like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know really whether there was anything sort of obvious. I mean, what we could do possibly is put an office here, which would have a huge, you'd have a huge office then overlooking out here. Because this is a big living area anyway. We're certainly not going to be lacking in space here. There's going to be an awful lot of space for a dining table, kitchen, and probably a couple of sofas, isn't it? It's not going to be at all pokey in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
what we use that space for,
we can decide later.
Exactly. You can decide because if you did have kitchen, living, dining situation, then that frees that space up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that becomes maybe a bit of a kind of storage room,
Yeah.
cupboard.
Or possibly at a later date, if we wanted to create a mezzanine up here, that's the stairs up, or that goes there and that's the stairs up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So the only other consideration, if your entrance is here into the house, is sometimes it's more traditional to have the entrance into the house linked to the hallway. So you kind of got access to everything, if you know what I mean. But that's it's kind of one of those sort of traditional layout type things that isn't necessarily needed.
Essential.
Yes, because you come in, you come straight in when you come in. You're gonna drop your shopping into the kitchen. You're gonna sort of relax in the dining room. You don't go from your porch straight into a bedroom.
No.
You know?
Yeah, and I quite like this part of it's our private bit, and this is all our communal. Everybody's welcome.
So it's like you transition through here, and then you go to sleep in the bedrooms, which is normal. Yeah, but so it's fine. I think really just getting it built in the right way, getting it cost effective for you as a self-build project, and making sure we can get it up and running this summer.
Yeah, exciting.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm pretty much decided on the hybrid model that you were talking about with the lightweight frame.
Yeah.
Straw bale infill.
Great. Okay.
Which you're comfortable with, and you're comfortable that the building regs will be comfortable with, aren't
you? Yeah. So I've had it signed off by building regs before. So effectively,
was that with Devon Building Control?
Devon Building Control, yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Cool. So Dave Bartlett is a great guy. But so what that is, I don't know whether you sort of saw these drawings, but effectively you've got a traditional foundation, effectively, which keeps it nice and simple.
Is that block and beam?
So the floor is block and beam,
and
then there is traditional strip foundations with block substructure.
Yeah.
That then comes into I don't see it being that much different, but 3 courses of block, then a wall plate for the timber frame. The timber frame goes straight up on the outside of the build. Like that. That is effectively supporting the roof, so you can get that in, get a weather membrane on it, get the windows in, and get the roof membrane on. Pretty quickly, within 2 or 3 weeks, say. And then you're working inside in a dry environment for all the different things. And then straw bale, we do a ladder detail, which effectively is in more detail.
Just for our build, I'm guessing the outside walls would be what, 2.5 meters, 2.4.
The
height
panels,
of the outside wall.
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, so 2.4, 2.5 meter panel.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm just thinking 2.4 is a good height to save on materials.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
2.4, 4.8.
Standard sizes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Is that going to be? I mean, that is plenty high enough, isn't it?
Yes, 2.4 is a standard ceiling height.
Right. Okay.
So this looks like it's about. It's a lot more than this. This is probably about 1.8.
Oh right, yeah, 2.4. Yeah. So that's plenty big enough. Yeah, that is about the height of that. Yeah, so that's fine.
That's just ceiling height right the way through.
Yeah.
To the edges.
Yeah. So basically, the outside walls would be from where I'm stood to about there. So nice and easy to build.
Yeah.
One person.
Yeah.
Less wastage.
Yeah.
Being at 2.4.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty standard stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But it might be a little bit bigger with the. Did you say there's a couple of blocks or something for it to sit on?
No, you set your blocks at 150 millimeters above ground level.
Right.
And your internal floor level is 150 mil above ground level. That's a pretty standard sort of combination. So subject to the depth of the foundations, the engineer would recommend you. They'll normally do it like coursed, so in terms of block courses. But effectively, you've got, let's just say, 3 blocks. Your ground level's there, a bit of a gravel perimeter, and then you've got your block work going there. So your 2.4 starts from there.
Okay. So that is going to be floor level.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, fine.
So floor level basically.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty standard setup, and what we try and do is keep it quite straightforward, so we're not reinventing the wheel basically unnecessarily. We keep it easy to build.
Because one of the things you said was keeping it to something that has been approved before will stop any delays, stop building control scratching their heads, stop too many questions.
I mean, you can do these quite like gabion baskets and all that kind of stuff, but it's just going to cause. It's inventive, and I say inventive, but it's actually it's quite basic. It's more basic, but it's more challenging for building control and people like that to kind of understand it and accept it and sign it off and all that stuff. So
I think
this just keeps it super simple. Keeps the timber frame as cheap as a timber frame can be built, and if you're self-building it, even cheaper. and then your straw bales, you know, just create a super insulation standard, which is again as cheap and as easy as it can be done.
Yeah.
So
because one thing now is time is of the essence. Do you know what I mean? As soon as it's dry out there, we need to be cracking on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. no, and this will help that.
Yeah.
So you can just get in, get your groundworks done.
Yeah.
Get your foundations in, your substructures in, and then once you're kind of at that, call it sort of golden brick, which is DPC level.
Yeah.
Then some frames really easy.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is our kind of self-build model.
Yeah. Which is great. That's good that you're very comfortable with it. And one thing that I sort of discussed with you on the phone, obviously within the lightweight timber frame structure, there's going to have to be some bigger posts.
Yeah.
And beams. I'd mentioned to you sort of being able to make up the size of the beams on site. Is that something to speak to the structural engineer about?
It is, but that should be fine.
Right.
Yeah. So if we're going to go for a vaulted roof, so we're suggesting not to go for the truss roof.
Yeah.
The truss roof is normally considered to be cheaper, but if you're self-building again and bolting beams together and stuff like that, because truss roofs are made in a factory, they're delivered and thrown up, and I think the house builders like it because it's quick.
Yeah.
And relatively cheap to make. But if you're self-building, it's just a bit more time for you to piece it together and then put it all together. So subject to the engineer, the engineer's going to have to be the one that qualifies this, but effectively you're going to have some sort of a post taking loads through the middle, which is going to create you can have a ridge beam. There'll have to be a beam over that to pick that up.
Yeah.
So effectively you've got a ridge beam running through the middle, and that just needs to meet a strength standard.
Yeah.
And you can bolt them together. We've done it plenty of times before.
And you'll need, I'm guessing, posts along here to.
Well, I'm hoping we'll see what they say. It's a bit of a span, to be honest. You might need a post somewhere in the middle, but you'll at least need one there and use that wall to create a point for taking load. But given that's, you're going to need a few really.
That's probably 10 meters there, isn't it?
Yeah. So you've got you're going to perhaps need at least one. So you normally try and pick a building line to do it. You might just have a look at this and see what we need to do there, but you might just put like a couple in there just so it looks organised within the space.
I guess one thing looking at it now, which would have made sense, was if that wall was slightly more central.
Yeah. It's quite nice to get these things to line up, but they can make it work.
But then there's nothing to stop us having like just a little
nib.
Yeah, just a little bit coming out there, a little bit coming out there, which creates just a small sort of recess there. You know, it's
absolutely
detail that would actually look like it was meant to be there by the time it was done. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. Yeah. So what you end up with then is that wall's a bit thinner. You're coming through, picking up a load there. And the same here. Maybe a wood burner.
So you just end up a little recess there.
You get recesses where you put cupboards in.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which can be quite cool.
Yeah.
And then you might move your wood burner,
because that might be where the TV is or the sofas are or whatever there anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe this becomes the wood burner corner and stuff like that. What we do need to do is need to work on our kitchen, living, dining layout together. So I can just throw a layout together, and then we can just go through that and start discussing how that works. It doesn't really affect the building regs package apart from the drainage for the kitchen, but also the flue for the wood burner.
Yeah, what I thought was, and it probably seems obvious to you, but I was thinking the kind of units around there. I was thinking this would probably be mind you, that door's a bit closer. Originally I was thinking this would be a sort of, the TV might be in there, but actually looking at it, maybe it might be sort of over there, sofa here, sofa there.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So so now we're looking at this kind of design lining through is kind of almost like look at the desire lines of how you move through the house without creating so it might be that this door moves perhaps to here.
Yeah. And then that have the little
you've got more space here. So instead of people sort of coming through to the middle of the plan to walk through, so you've got this kind of area here, then becomes really clear space to build out with your kitchen, living, dining, and there's a direct route through there.
Yeah.
And it links quite nicely to this. So it's not actually a corridor, but you've got to understand that how people move through the house. And then you, for example, like here, where you've got this recess here, this could be quite nice because it's how much you want to line stuff through. But whether you get your kitchen running, a nice galley kitchen running down, so that could be a really nice long linear kind of route for the kitchen. Cooker in the middle. And again, depending, this is completely to you, but you might just want to pick an island. And I always like things kind of lining up. Is pick an island that goes perhaps like that.
I think that's a great idea, because then it's, what I would also like is to have, as well as a kitchen sink there, I would like a small sink on the island. I would like the cooker on the island, and then when you're sort of cooking here, you can still socialise with people that are in the living area.
You get that full benefit, and then you've got circulation coming around here to move freely. And then, even to some extent, perhaps your dining table runs.
And then some stools along here. You can sort of sit here.
Breakfast bar.
And you'd have to move the fire then.
Probably, but that might make more sense anyway, putting it over there.
I'm not sure about the cooking on the island.
It's a big debate that, whether it goes on the other side or the island side.
I really like it being somewhere where you can cook and talk at the same time.
Yeah, we've just done another one. So
because otherwise you're cooking here, facing the wall, kind of, no one's talking to me because I'm cooking. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when you're here,
your voice is loud enough, Dan. It'll carry. It'll carry to the island.
Well, we're obviously going to have to put in 2 cookers, aren't we?
When you're doing it.
His and hers.
Exactly.
Suddenly the budget goes out the window.
And then you got all this space here for your sort of sofas and all that kind of stuff.
That makes a lot more sense.
It does.
Great.
Yeah.
So the other thing we discussed then is if this becomes, so you're taking the truss out, so effectively you're taking a lot of the ceiling out, certainly through this space. So that's going to open that up. So I think that means this kind of route through here. Slightly different, that section, but we'll do a section through it, but effectively you create a vaulted space through the whole of that, and then perhaps a mezzanine over.
Exactly.
So wherever your beam is, you'll see that beam up above. The posts will be quite a nice feature running through that, and then just got a nice big open space. Which would be lovely.
And like you say, these posts would be nice to be exposed.
And can create, like you say, nice shelving, storage, and it's kind of tucked.
I mean, perfect for a bookcase or just like say storage. Or,
It's really nice to see when you get your structure to work in a way that creates these kind of spaces that you everything looks like it belongs. And it'll, I mean, that would be a perfect space for loads of books and record player. All those things.
And
decks,
So like you say, so this being completely vaulted, this being completely vaulted, and into the future, what we might look at doing in the roof is this sort of being another room with, like you say, a mezzanine sort of above it.
I mean, I think that'd be awesome, because what you've got then is you're going to have the kind of usable space will be kind of just like through there with storage in the eaves. And what you've got is if you, I mean, there's 2 things. Obviously, you can have it as a ladder going up. And being able to just call it a store, I guess. But if you wanted it building regs signed off as a room, then you might want to consider how this all works and whether you can fit a little stair in. But let's just, one way or another, getting a stair up there, and then if you did have the sea landed here, like a bit of a corridor directly above your current corridor, then you've got that kind of drama of a railing and then some people stood up above and then going into another room. So you've got another room, which is great.
When I was sort of designing this, I did kind of wonder whether that would actually become the stairs there, but then obviously we lose the ensuite in the master bedroom.
We don't want to lose that.
No.
I think that would work better, because this is going to be a little bit of a dead space.
Well, but you've got to think, if you lose that, where's the bathroom?
Well, it depends what you want
That's
to
gonna
do.
be the
But if
bathroom.
you've got a bathroom there, an office there,
Right. Okay.
and then
Yeah.
you sort
Right.
of,
Okay.
you keep your dining space here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you've got the flexibility. You can swap them out if you want to.
Okay. So bathroom goes there. That becomes
That would be a store cupboard anyway. If the bathroom is there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a little stair, so you want to land this closer to the ridge as possible. So your stair would go up and around like that. So a little half landing.
Yeah.
Little stairs running through there. Perhaps some kites to make it a bit more efficient. And then so you start here, go up and land there, which is as close to the ridge as possible. So you're landing somewhere around here. Keep your head room.
Yeah.
And then under here you've got a little cupboard as well. Under stair cupboard, so you can get access in.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that would work pretty well. Then the bathroom there that works, and if that's an office, yeah, I mean that'd be quite a nice office with a glazed.
Yeah.
And you can still open it all up.
Yeah.
You can still have that sort of flowing through, so you can get like, I mean that's quite a nice kind of feature, that, because you've got this glass that runs all the way through. This full breakthrough of light and space and views to the,
Both sides.
Both sides. Yeah.
Fine.
We can show that layout and then just let us know. We can tweak it.
Yeah.
So, just. Because as long as we're working within the same sort of structural envelope, you've got time to move things around until you want to finalise and pinpoint your drainage and everything. But that's a nice house, isn't it?
Yes.
Lovely.
Would the upstairs be classed as habitable space if the planners did come and look?
So it depends what you want to call it. It's a slightly technical question, but I think if you put it up as a mezzanine store,
it's not classed as living space.
But if you wanted to use it as basically if you put a window in there and put a bedroom in there and stuff like that, but because it will be a slightly bigger unit. I think it's one of those things. I think technically yes,
a grey area.
Yeah. But that's up to you. I mean, we can put a stair up to a mezzanine that you use for storage, and then after that,
whatever
happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah. Is there any sort of money saving hints or tips that you can give, or?
Well, keeping everything standard size, as you already mentioned it.
Yeah.
Everything standardized as possible. Keeping so let's have a quick look at the elevations. The more your windows are the same size, you can do that. So these whatever these are, if they're twice the size, create this kind of uniform kind of approach to the whole thing. These are all very similar, so I think you've kind of got it. So I'd probably, like, for example, just make sure whatever they are is the same as what they are. So you just create more and more uniformity. Because then it's just easier for them to make, when they're making the windows, to make more of the same. And things like that. And I think within your planning envelope you can manage that, basically, as long as there's no major kind of changes. So like, for example, your side window there being all these units being the same. And it also gives an aesthetic uniformity, which I think is quite nice as well. It looks kind of well organised and well thought through.
Okay. And the planning calls this a standing seam roof. What does that mean to you?
So standing seam roof is where the roof profile is kind of pieces of metal, and then it has a bit like that, and then it folds over and then goes like that. Normally about sort of 400 or 500 millimeters across like that.
I know exactly what you mean, and that sort of says to me expense. What I was hoping to put on there was, like we've got on the extension here, a sort of more agricultural, not corrugated iron, but
so I'll just need to double check the conditions, but is there a condition there will be usually a condition for approving materials?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's just run it through that.
Right.
So you can either do something like that. My instinct, if you were going to keep it as a profile metal roof is to go for a corrugated type approach. And literally have it, instead of, because that's slightly industrial, have it a bit more agricultural. And I think that would work quite well to create, and you can get these, I mean, lots of people do it on brand new kind of conventional houses these days, you know, in the countryside, because they want it to sit and look like it's some sort of a barn or something like that. And I think so like a this kind of stuff. Still buy it quite cheap in sheets, and then you get you just make sure you know when you're fitting it, it's fitted in the right way. Just be aware of the noise, but if you're going for quite a well insulated roof, you're going to have a kind of battens perhaps. With those in place. Then you're going to have your weather membrane. Breather membrane, and then your timber frame. So that's going to be like, for example, OSB or something like that. And then you're going to have your whatever the thickness of your roof joists are. That's cutting through the roof joist, and then all your insulation in. Now we need to go through that level of efficiency, because obviously you're going to get a lot of efficiency in your straw bale walls. So it's deciding on what you want that to be. Now there's going to be a structural size that comes in at. Let's just say they're 175 rafters structurally to make it work. But it might be that we just weigh that up against the U values and the thermal efficiency of the roof that you want, because you can either, I mean, I would say fill that up with insulation, and it can either be something quite cost effective like glass wool, super glass, which is kind of pretty efficient. It's made out of recycled bottles and things like that. Then,
so would 175mm of glass fibre be as efficient as, say, 120 rigid?
So it'd probably be not too far off. The rigid is much more efficient as a thermal insulation. But it's probably a bit more expensive. So you can either fill it with rigid insulation, or basically put more, you know, fill it, if you've got a rafter size, fill it right up with super glass or rock wool or something like that.
And these natural products like hemp, or I think there is actually some wool, they are quite a lot more expensive.
They are, so it's really nice. So because you've got straw in your walls, you've got this kind of thing where, you know, is it all natural, breathable kind of scenario? And where do you sort of stop with that? The straw in the walls is easy to do and cheap to do. Getting natural insulations into the roof is a bit of an investment to do. Because if you go to sheep's wool, I mean, sheep's wool would be great, you know, or hemp and things like that. But they're less efficient. Something called the lambda value, the efficiency of it, the thermal conductivity of the product itself is a lot lower. So you need a lot more of it to get your insulation levels up. Alternatively, you can just go for PIR insulations, which is the rigid boards. And you can thin down the profile of your roof. So you're paying more for the insulation, but less for the roof structure. And I think it's just a balance of what you decide to do. Natural materials, breathability, cost, and energy efficiency. It's not always an easy decision.
No. I would like it to be sort of as natural as possible, but then I don't particularly like rigid insulation just because of all the chemicals that's used, but I kind of feel that in the roof, especially when it's all so well sealed away,
it's a balance. We never sort of say, oh, you've got to do one or the other. There's pros and cons to each, and it's not always that straightforward. The manufacturing of those, they use petrochemicals and stuff like that, but the actual process is quite energy efficient compared to there's been a bit of research done about recycled newspaper, and whilst it's on, I was going to say on paper, on paper like much more environmentally friendly,
the production is,
but the production is actually not that bad. So there's this embodied energy argument to weigh up, and it's never really easy to
no.
You know,
sometimes you kind of, okay, well that's good on that factor, but that's not good on that factor, and you end up they're almost the same.
But we'll sort of have that conversation, and I think the first step is to see what the engineer says around the depth of the rafters. So there's two factors to your rafters. One is to what it takes to hold the roof up. Then the other one is how much insulation do you want to go in. And if you're more energy efficient your house is, usually you get a degree of over design in the rafters because of the you're holding more insulation.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So for example, the straw bale houses here, I think there was a decent old span on these actually, but that that is earthwood in there, and they are 350mm I-beams.
Wow.
So that's kind of like,
it's deep.
Yeah. So I mean, the idea of that is it's pretty much a zero energy house. You know, in terms of heat demand is very, very low.
What? So you made those beams so big so that it could accept that amount of insulation?
Yeah, yeah. But having said that, I remember that being pretty long span. It does have intermediate support here, I think here, but yeah, there's quite a big span on that as well. So there's a combination of both. But yeah, it's just so you will have a U value. For example, if you go for the same one as this, you'll have a U value in your wall. I don't know how much you've heard about U values so far, but you'll have a U value. It'd be about 0.1. That's 0.11.
0.17 is the standard, is it?
So you're going to be 0.1. If you go for the straw bale builder, that's 0.11. So
right.
That's a lot more efficient than building regs will want.
Yeah.
Which is,
is it 0.17?
I think it's 0.17. Yeah. Then you've got so it's a choice of what you put into your roof, really. I mean, normally we're our affordable housing models, we can normally keep U values around 0.1 to 0.13.
Okay.
Just with a cost-effective solution.
Yeah. So basically, the lower the U value, the lower the number, the more insulated the house.
Right.
And 0.17 is the standard. So if Andy's saying you get to 0.11, then it's good.
Yeah.
And were these houses minus carbon, on their carbon footprint, or
no?
did
I
you not work that out?
I don't think that calculation was fully undertaken.
Right. Because I know some straw bale houses can get to a point where they are
carbon positive and things. So you can carry out that calculation. I mean, again, another part of it is if you've got a beam and block floor, it's a slightly more
concrete,
carbon kind of heavy solution.
Yeah.
But again, there's always this balance, and it's never that straightforward. I don't think it's just about all natural materials, because the other thing is just the performance of the building and the thermal mass and different things.
Yeah. And how it performs for the rest of its life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You could get all the savings on carbon here, but then for whatever reason it costs a bit more to run it or use a bit more energy, and suddenly all the carbon's out the window anyway. So.
Yeah. And the other thing to consider is just vapor transfer as well. So you can have breathable walls effectively, so vapor can go through the walls.
One thing I was going to say to you, actually, your design is a straw bale on its side.
Yeah.
So the straw is running down.
Vertically, yeah.
Does that make it any less breathable than if it was on its side and you would actually have the straws going?
No, it's a good question, but I don't think so. I think it's just by nature of its natural product.
Right.
So vapor can pass through. So if it's PIR, for example, the board insulations, effectively that's not vapor permeable. So vapor kind of stops and hits it, and then you've got to decide, you've got to manage that basically.
Yeah.
So you have vapor barriers and stuff like that to manage that.
Right. Okay.
So
why do you go for the design that's on its side rather than flat?
If it's flat,
it's wider.
It's wider,
yeah.
and you're already at a really good U value there. So it's just a bit more efficient in space.
Yeah.
So you could lay it flat, because I think that's a bale size there, and you could lay that flat. It'd be wider, and I think they're normally considered better flat when they're load-bearing straw bales.
Okay.
So where this is effectively infill, that's what sort of just creates that bit more efficiency.
Okay.
So you could if you've got a thinner bale, depends on that's just standard baling, but you can sometimes get bales specially made for construction. You can almost specify what you want that to be to some extent.
Right.
But what works about this is you've got the bale on its side, and you've got it's a 450, I think, if I remember rightly, 450 high.
Yeah.
So once you get going on your bale coursing, so it's like that. The other thing we put underneath it is a ladder. So we create a service zone there, and get a bit of plywood or OSB that runs through there. It sits on the floor.
Yeah.
Then what we call a ladder detail here, which is effectively long bits of timber with noggins in between.
Yeah.
And that sits effectively on your floor like this. And then you've got a situation there where you can insulate that with earth wool. But where you've got, for example, and then you can put another little piece of timber here, running down along the floor. Then you've got space for your pipes and everything in there.
Yeah.
And you've got this kind of situation where you can put your skirting against
Yeah,
that quite conventionally.
Yeah. I can take the skirting off easily when the pipes are leaking from my dodgy DIY.
Yeah, exactly. And when they do leak, even just as importantly, or if they leak,
it doesn't touch the straw.
It doesn't go into the straw. So if you've got a washing machine sat here in the kitchen, and there's a leak, it's going into conventional construction. So there's a drying out that's quite easy to manage.
Yeah.
So it takes this risk. What we like about using straw is it's to put it into a situation where it's seen as just insulation, and not this big deal, big fear about pests and moisture and all this kind of stuff that's associated with it.
Yeah.
So that's why we believe in it as an affordable housing kind of building material. Then you've got another batten there, and then you can run your either. I mean, this again, it's another quite kind of consideration. You can either run normal plasterboard on the inside. But if you've got the straw, there's a massive benefit in that becomes a render bead basically, and that being rendered in lime.
Yeah, I would like to just render the inside of the bale. I don't want any plasterboard. It's a horrible substance.
Great. Well, I mean, ideal. When we did these ones, 3 of the self-builders did it in plaster, because I quite like that they did it in plaster, not from an environmental point of view, but I like that they just saw the houses as conventional houses and not straw bale houses. It's a strange thing to sort of say, but so 3 of them rendered it all inside, and it looked like a straw bale cottage, which is what they are, and it looked really lovely, and I prefer that personally aesthetically. But I love that people had the choice to say, I'm not into that sort of aesthetic. I just want a normal plasterboarded house, but it happens to be insulated with straw, and that choice was a really important sense of freedom in the self-build model that we created. That's what works really well. And then you've got.
I much prefer the natural sort of wavy look of, it could be cob or it could be straw, or lovely thick walls with a sort of wavy,
and it's the way the light goes on it and like that. It's really nice.
Just looks more natural.
But then you've got this next scenario here, which is you put like a 38mm batten ladder onto the top of each straw bale, and what that does, it creates a fixing point, which is quite conventional. So if that's 450 bale on edge, you've got then the standard height for a socket, for example, for building rigs is 450, so you can fix a socket through on that position onto a piece of timber, so just figuring out how to get it into the straw. But it's load bearing straw, and again, these things can work, but you have to literally put a bolt, a piece of timber into the straw. But you've got these kind of conventional. It's a bit like when we talk about the plan. Everything kind of being quite well arranged and making sense and logical layout. And the same in the construction. You've got this scenario where, again, you go for your next straw bale up, and you've got another batten here, and it's perfect at 900mm for a light switch. So everything's kind of ties into quite conventional building rigs, normal house kind of stuff. And then you've got fully insulated, super insulated wall, and you've got your render can go all the way up and look all lovely and soft and homely.
And cladding on the outside?
It's completely up to you. So what so some people like that cottagey feel on the outside. This system doesn't really offer that. So let's just say, for example, we have now let's just say the blockwork finishes here. Probably a bit further up, sorry, and then a wall plate here, and then you've got timber frame that goes up on the outside. That's a 89 by 38mm timber frame, very standard, very cost effective.
So what is that, 3 inches?
Yeah, I think so. And then that you would so you may as well insulate that with earth wool. Just you can either insulate it or not, or have it as a ventilation zone. But effectively, because that will be supporting the roof, is having depends where the panel goes. If you put a weather membrane on the outside like that, you can either batten it off and clad it, or batten it off and render it, or anything really.
Okay.
So you can put a render board basically onto that.
Right.
But you can do it in lime. We did do it in lime render board, like a, I can't remember what the product's called now, but it's like a recycled pallet type of fibre board that was put onto the outside of the timber frame, and then that was rendered in lime with bits of recycled glass in it, which was quite a nice product. But when you render that in, it's really nice, and the fibre board is about 25 millimeters, and it kind of has that absorption that straw has.
Right.
But it is a rigid product.
Yeah.
It's natural and breathable and all the other nice stuff, but it's not straw.
Right.
So that's the only other thing to consider is what you kind of lose is the rounded corners and stuff of the straw on the outside. But what you have very quickly is your dry house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And is there anything to stop? What stage would you do what? Would you have to build the straw bales up first and then do the outside? Or could you clad it first on the outside and then put the straw in?
The way I do it is to get this, once your substructure is done, the timber frame goes up. So these timber frame walls go up first. They fly up basically. So you've got these 2.4 metre panels you can pre-make and get erected pretty quickly. So you can be making them while the groundwork is doing the groundworks. The panels go up, and then they're all fixed together. And then the weather membrane, the breather membrane goes on the outside through here. And then your roof goes on. So let's just sort of break there, and then you've got a wall plate at the top, and then your that takes your rafters basically. So the rafters come up like this, and go and hold the roof up effectively. And again, you've got a weather membrane on the roof as well, so effectively you're getting a dry environment quite quickly. Then your straw bales, for example, bring them in, store them inside, and start baling inside. So what you do is you compact these down. You put your batten in, you screw that batten to that ladder, to the straw bale, and then bale course all the way around. Yes, it's pretty easy.
So when you say panels, I like the idea of the panels because I could make them down in the barn. Would you show any detail of the size panels, or is that just down to the builder to?
It'd be down to you. Right. So if it's a timber frame manufacturer that does it, which I don't think you want to do because you're going to be paying them to do that. I mean, one thing is it would be quicker. What they'll do is a panel design for you and then show you that. But what we will do is show you the primary frame design. So we'll show you where these posts go. I mean, those posts are more likely to be on the outside in the timber frame zone, and it's more likely to be stud clusters. So like loads of studs put together. Then you're going to have your the rest of your studs on, running around kind of like sort of 450 or 600 millimeter centers, depending on what the engineer does. And then we would show those in there, and you can choose how to make your panels from that. But if you want a panel design, that comes from it's a manufacturing type thing. And normally, so you would have the freedom to do those as long as the spacings were done in the way that you wanted it to be.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, that all makes sense.
So we'll have another conversation about the insulation in the roof, I think. So have a think about it, but you just decide on what you want it to be.
Okay. All right. Good. Any questions?
Yeah. So then.
You got any questions?
I don't think so.
Good. I'm happy with that. And the only thing just about this overheating nonsense, there was no issue there that you.
No, we'll run it through the building regs process and we'll just respond to whatever they need.
Okay.
I'm not massively worried about it, to be honest. It is a relevant point, but you're going to have this kind of thermal mass linked to the straw bale, which will help keep it cool. Think about old farmhouses, old cottages. They stay pretty cool, so you can have that kind of benefit. And then you've got the worst case scenario is we just need to think about some sort of shading through this elevation.
Even though that will be facing east.
I've got the right elevation there. South.
You're probably thinking of southwest, is it?
Southwest, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So southwest. It's a slightly dodgy angle because you've got. If you imagine a hot summer's day, and the sun beginning to set, it starts to get quite low. So it's shining low into the rooms.
To the patio in the bedroom. So.
No, but it wouldn't be in the bedrooms because that is on the lower side down there. It would be setting on the other side. It would be setting up here.
Right.
This would be. That says northeast. I don't know if they've got that wrong.
They must have got that wrong. So then, if that's the case, then there's no worries.
Because this gable end is going to be up here, and the sun sets in the summer sort of over here.
Yeah. I didn't manage to print the site plan off, but I've managed to put it on here, I think. So let's have a quick look. So that's the layout of it.
Yeah.
So
this end is the gable with the single door, with the entrance door.
Right. Then so that's your east. That's morning.
That is down here. Yeah, that's morning sun. Yeah.
The pond. Yeah.
Well, it's northeast, isn't it?
Yes, it probably is. Yeah.
So northeast.
That's north.
So the planners don't even know.
Yeah, they got that wrong, didn't they?
And they you could put windows wherever you want now.
Right. Yeah. Because they've agreed to that. It's wrong.
Yeah. So that's southwest.
Yeah. Hopefully that won't get us into any
no
problems.
I don't think so. I don't
because they're expecting all these windows to be up.
I've got to admit, off the record, I just don't. I think the principle of the agricultural dwelling is the main consideration.
Yeah.
I don't think the design is a big thing for them.
Yeah. I know.
So I don't any amendments. I don't see any problem with it. It's just the formalisation of it, really.
Well, to be honest with you, now they've made that mistake, you can kind of argue, well, you agree to this, but it's just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is the patio door.
It is.
So that's just get myself organised then. So
yeah, this will be the bit that gets the sun all day.
Yeah. So that's
down here,
southeast, and this one is northwest.
Probably lucky we noticed that, isn't it?
Well, that's what this process is for, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
So
lucky we didn't just go away for 2 years and have it built.
Would have we'll just pick it up. And spin
Yeah,
it
exactly. It would have been like, hang on, this is not right.
One of my favourite jokes for builders on site is arriving on site and just going, "Oh no, not there. Just move it over there."
Just like that.
Yeah, no, just holding your head.
So it's a drawing, you know. They can just move when they've built it. It's not that funny, actually.
Not for them.
No. So yeah, that's great. So this is your window then, and you know, there's just very simple things you can do. For example, you could just extend a bit of roof down here.
Right.
We talked about this, didn't we, on the phone? Is like, for example, you could extend a bit of roof over there like that, and what that does is that's quite an easy southeast is quite an easy shading option. So you've got your high winter sun here.
Yeah.
And you just extend it to the point with a little sun study that if you've got I know it's not so actually, but you've got a point where you shade it so it doesn't shine in.
I mean, it's crazy, really,
because in the winter you allow it to shine in and help heat the
right.
building.
Right. Okay. I was going to say because in the winter you want the warmth.
Exactly.
You want the solar gain.
Yeah. But the winter sun's obviously lower.
Right.
And that's a classic kind of passive design principle.
Okay. Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, you know, it's a nonsense worrying about overheating in the UK, when actually you want to worry about the getting cold, don't you, in the winter?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, that's.
Are you going to add a window here?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that again because we were looking at this layout with your kitchen in here. So it depends where your sink goes, but let's just say your sink stays on this side.
Yeah.
Then you've got kitchen sink here, kitchen sink window.
Yeah.
So something like that.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Brilliant. Yeah, anything else? So that means, let me just go back through this orientation thing again. So you don't have to worry about those ones because they're going to be perfect because you're going to get this kind of morning sun just hitting these windows, which is ideal.
Yeah.
It's the late evening sun which overheats more so than morning sun. So they're going to be fine. We can probably look at just doing that kind of scenario to shade that one.
Yeah.
Which again is, well, that'll just nip that in the bud, I think,
Yeah.
to be honest. The overheating risk. and it would be quite a nice, really quite a nice, depending on how much we do it, quite a nice feel for being able to sit out in the in the rain under cover.
Yeah.
Just like an extension of this space, really.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I did what I've thought that we would probably end up with is a covered bit of decking or covered bit of space that sort of runs right the way down here.
Yeah.
But obviously making sure that it doesn't mean that we lose the small bit of light that we have on this side. Do you know what I mean? So maybe it would be like you say, the roof extends a little bit right the way down, but here we have clear.
That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Because so again, it's a bit more of a design change in planning terms. But let's just say you extend it out by like 1.5 meters, or
yeah.
You
can have your rocking chair with the shotgun then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Indeed, that's the dream, isn't it?
When the daughters bring back the boyfriends.
The teenage boys sneak past.
Trying to get to the girls' bedrooms.
Yeah, just try your best, son.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling, the tripwire goes off. We got ourselves a new one here.
Yeah. So what you do is tie that structure in. It would all be really nice, actually. So, and the only thing I'd suggest, I mean, again, it's this whole lining things up, is bringing this in within that sort of structural line. So just minor tweaks, so that window there is within this structural line, and this probably, just for the sake of making it look organised, is having that as a point at which you have everything coming down. So that does change the look again quite a bit, but I don't think it's a problem. I think what we'll do is when I do the updated designs, I'll send you the plans and elevations. They are going to be based solely on a structural kind of building regs kind of technical design. But I'm just going to sort of highlight the changes, and then let you decide if you want to what you're going to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what the risk is. Basically.
Yeah.
And then, but it is worth just getting these things kind of organised, because it's one of those things when it's built. It's I'd rather be dealing with technicalities, of trying to sort of iron out a few things than looking at something when it's built.
Yeah. And saying, wrong.
I wish I'd done this.
Yeah.
And also getting it thought through, so all your structure is kind of tied in. So for example, if you've got your kitchen within this bay here, we call them bays, bays, and your dining space in that bay and your living space in that bay, and that's they're relatively equal spaces. You've got this kind of organisation of things that just
lines up,
and it's really pleasing to the eye. So, and it's like the whole being sat on the terrace with a shotgun feeling, plenty of time to think about stuff. And there's you want to feel like you've got it all right. And it's quite satisfying when you do. But you always find something. It's just the way of it. Or maybe it's just me as an architect. Lovely, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, great.
Well, that's fine. We just need the drawings back in a month's time.
Yeah, no worries.
No, in all seriousness, I know I've said this to you a few times now, but you're happy that there shouldn't be any.
There's no problems with producing the information. I think the only thing to just weigh up is just not getting caught out with planning, how that relates to risk, and the response time of building regulations. Now there's two sides to building regulations to take into account. There's a full plans building control approval, which takes about 4 weeks. So you do all the plans, you get all your engineering stuff, get all your drainage stuff, and put it in and wait for an approval. Now to be fair, that's ideal. Because you get your approval, you get plans back, you address any comments that have been raised or any conditions that come out of that, and you're ready to go, and that's a tied up pack. The other thing to do is, if you're really keen to get going, and that process is going a bit slower than you'd like, is you go in under a building notice. Now the building control fees are the same, but what you're doing is you're paying for them to come and inspect as it's going. As long as I don't think there'll be any problems with it. I think as long as the because you've got doors coming straight out of the bedrooms and stuff like that. It's really straightforward from a fire point of view. I think the thing to, as long as you get your substructures agreed in the first place, then that'll be fine.
I understand the building notice concept. Firstly, I heard that they're phasing that out. You soon won't be allowed to use a building notice. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't. You might be ahead of the curve for me on that. I've not I've not heard anything on that.
I heard that you won't be able to get a completion sign off using a building notice for much longer.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because I love the idea of a building notice, because it just means you tell them what you do and you crack on.
Well, you do that anyway. So full plans building control is what you get is the fees kind of split into two: your inspection fee and your plans fee.
Right.
The building notice fees are kind of the full fee anyway. But what you're doing is you're telling them what you're doing when it's signed off. Whether it's a building notice or full plans, they're still going to come and do the inspections when you're, like, for example, you'd get your reduced levels of your foundations.
Yeah.
They'll come have a look at the hole in the ground and say, right, that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as they can see clay.
Yeah, you've hit
there's
something.
There's no loose material or anything like that. That's
yeah.
Brilliant. Or they might comment on stuff that you might not have known because you dug into the ground.
Yeah.
For example, it's proximity to a tree and tree roots.
Yeah.
Clay heave, different things like that, and they'll just come up with a comment that will help you.
Maybe go a bit deeper or a bit wider.
Or some sort of barrier thing
Yeah.
or whatever it is. That's all quite straightforward, and they'll just do that, and they'll do that on both. But the benefit of the full plans is that they will have seen the designs first and approved them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you use both?
Yeah, we often do hybrids. So sometimes what's often driven around is the start on site.
Yeah. The reason that I ask that is because, say, for instance, that we have put in for full plans approval, and for whatever reason, it's started, we've gone past sort of 2 months and there's still questions being asked. At that point, when the weather's all nice and I'm thinking, right, I need to get going now, can we say, can you then put in a building notice, or do you not have to do that, or can you just let them know that we're starting, or what?
Yeah, you can let them know they're starting, so we can shape it around your start on site date. So as long as we've got all the information kind of together, for example, crucially, the foundation design, the setting out, there's a kind of what's called the critical path of your program, saying, right, I'm going to start on this date. We will just submit the building regs application, and it's all, because we know them as well, just say, look, it's kind of like a hybrid. Here's all the information, but we know you haven't got time to approve it all before it starts on site. So can we arrange the first site inspection in the next 2 weeks?
Okay.
Whatever that time is. And as long as you get that time agreed with them, so you might spend 2 weeks doing your excavations.
Yeah.
But as long as the building control inspector sees that before you do the next bit, that's all that really ultimately matters.
Fine. Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. I don't know what the issue was, because like I said to you, I spoke to someone else and they were saying that for them to do it, it would be sort of minimum 6 to 7 months to get the building approval. And I was just like, well, that doesn't work for us, It was sort of almost instantly the phone went down and was like, if that's your time scale, then...
The statutory period for building control approval is four weeks.
Right. Because I emailed one of the inspectors probably a month ago to see whether it was realistic, and he said they aim to get it back in a fortnight.
Right. Well, yeah.
Or they are sort of turning it over that quickly at the moment. So.
I'll double check with building control. If we go through Devon building control, but we're just submitting a building control application. Well, we just did last week for 6 eco houses, well down near Exeter. That's going to a private company, but it's the same period timescales, and they're starting at the end of this month.
Right. Okay.
So it's a bit tighter than we'd like, but we know that they're geared up to kind of start doing inspections. But you say they're starting, and then there's the first inspections. They're two slightly different things. So it's nice to have all your building regs wrapped up before they start, because let's just say the worst case risk is to turn around and say you've missed something massive here.
Yeah.
This is not a risk project. It's the size of it, but let's just say on a big scheme, I don't know,
radon sumps in all the houses, or
just something massive that's going to cost like £100,000.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been factored into the development costs. That's the risk.
Yeah.
And it's usually with bigger schemes. For a house of this size, domestic property on a self-build basis, I just don't think we need to make a meal of it.
No. Good.
Yeah.
All right. And is there any advantage to use your private firm than using local authority?
Well, we've gone through the pros and cons of both, really, with different experiences. We've used private ones before, and then they've not been very good. I'm not going to mention any names. There's no point. But sometimes they promise the world, and then they're over resourced and they're slow. Sometimes Devon building control can be a bit slow. But on the whole, given the last 20 years, I sit with recommend never building a
Yeah.
The only other thing to consider is, and it's worth talking about, is a structural warranty on the property. We talked about it, I think, briefly on the phone, but is if you wanted a warranty tied in with building control sign off.
Yeah.
The warranty is normally, if you're going to sell the house,
Yeah.
sell it with a structural warranty for 50 years.
Can you do a PCC?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you charge more for a PCC? A PCC
So
is
we
a professional consultant certificate.
Yeah, it's a professional. So there is a charge. Our insurers has a charge over. So we need to. I think it's for 7 years.
Right.
We can adjust it to whatever it needs to be. But I need to speak to my insurers and say we've signed this off on this basis. So it kind of does. It's very similar to a warranty in that way.
Because a lot of lenders will look at that, and if you look at the board of lenders, they say we either want a guarantee or they're happy with a PCC.
Yeah, so we can do one. We did one on those other straw bale ones. So that didn't have a warranty. We did PCC, and our insurers will just say that what they'll do is just add a premium to our insurance.
Okay.
And just pass that cost.
Right.
Across.
And what you think, hundreds rather than thousands?
It was about 6,000 for the straw bale houses. So I'll need to check.
Right.
I need to check.
Okay.
I'll have to let you know.
Because it would be good to get something. I'd be happy with a PCC rather than because
How do you get a warranty?
A warranty you'll be paying another $3,000 for, probably at least.
Yeah, and that's so that normally you can get that tied into the building control company. It's normally easier than if you get a warranty to tie it into a private building control company, and then they will they'll effectively couple. In a way, it's the same. Well, it is the same. Inspector will come and do it all. And it just links to warranty as long as they've signed off the construction method. They'll give you that warranty.
But doing the PCC, you said that it was like for 7 years.
Yes.
So would that mean we have to do another one in 7 years' time?
No. Basically, a warranty would last you for 10 years normally, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And a PCC, Andy's saying, would last for 7 years. Basically, what that does is it guarantees the work for a decade or 7 years. It's like an insurance policy. That's all it is.
I'd have to check if it's for 10 years. I'd just check what my insurers would allow. I think it's just that we've only done it that once before, and that's what it was. It was for 7 years, and I can't remember why. It might have been the funders wanted that. I just can't remember. But I can look at it and get a quote to you, and that's fine. But the only thing we would need to do, just thinking about that, is we would need to tie in with the building control visits as well. So we need to see the build. So
are you talking about warranty or for a PCC?
For PCC,
right?
We'd need to do the inspections. So we'd have to tie that into at least as frequent as building control visits to make sure that we're documenting that we've visited it.
Yeah.
Not that I don't think you can build it. I've seen you build before, so I've got no doubt about that. But for the PCC to stand up, is I know to have these reports. I sign off and do all that kind of stuff.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what that put on your cost.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have a look at that.
I mean, the crazy thing is really that you should have enough peace of mind that building regs have passed it and signed it off. That should be your guarantee, in my view. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. But the building control aren't liable. That's the only thing. So the building control can get something wrong, and you can't go back to them.
No.
You can say, "Oh, I've done the right thing," but ultimately, what it's about is a lawyer acting on behalf of a future buyer and can say, what happens if this building falls down, who's going to pay for it? And that's what they want to tell their buyer, and then they need to find someone, and they'll look. The PCC means they can come and look to us. So
and that'd be covered by your professional indemnity insurance, wouldn't it?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So for example, in the technical package that we give you to build, there's one thing that is a technical package that you should be able to build to.
Yeah.
But there's always a thing. It just comes with our insurance. It's just the way it is. If we're not employed to oversee that work and make sure that we're satisfied that it's been built in accordance with the drawings,
right?
Then I don't think we can be held liable. So
I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, because it's just about where is the fault, where is the defect that's caused it. I think from a structural point of view, it's slightly different. So, for example, if the building just starts sinking, or something breaks, a beam breaks, or this has never happened before.
Yeah. We had one last week.
We talk about a very, very simple house. So we're talking about quite high level concerns and risks here, but this is going to be pretty straightforward. But that breaks, then that engineer design got the loadings wrong, something like that, then that's a pretty clear sort of route to blame. But if it comes in and there's claims saying the engineer comes in and has a look at it and says, well, actually that beam isn't what we've recommended, we put a different beam in, then it's the builder's fault basically. So this is all usually put into the context of a builder. So if you've got you've got your client, you've got your main builder and the design team, your architect and your engineers and stuff like that. Something goes wrong with the house and the client says, well, who and why, and that's how that all kind of works usually. And it all comes back down to insurances, but nothing has ever gone wrong before. It's just about how you want to tie up documentation wise the liabilities for passing on to a future buyer.
Well, like I say, it would be a decision to make after I've seen your cost for a PCC. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so what I'll do is if I give you our costs, it might then be worth getting an alternative quote from a private company for a warranty, structural warranty. With some clients, it's not every project. It's just a safety net for selling.
Exactly. I guess you've got to ask yourself what the likelihood is of you still being here in 10 years' time. If you're definitely going to still be here in 10 years' time, then it's pretty much pointless if you're, confident with the way you're going to build it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But our insurance, so it's not about. So if I run off abroad, whatever, then we have run-off insurance. So it's still the liability still sits.
Yeah. Because it would be, I guess, I don't know. Would they cover it for a self-build basis? Or would they say that your average, or me for instance, hasn't got enough experience in building because they would probably say somewhere in the small print that your contractor needs to be a bona fide.
Yeah, no, you need to you need to present yourself as the contractor. So you need to say I'm the contractor.
Right. Okay.
And that's when I built my house. That's what I did.
Right. Okay.
So I said I'm the principal contractor. We used a joint kind of warranty and building control company, and that was fine. And we've got a timber framer to put the frame up.
Right.
But again, as long as we're satisfied that the frame's gone up pretty well.
Okay.
It might just be worth, once the frame's up, getting an inspection from the structural engineer.
Yeah.
So just because that check-in, it just means you've got a point at which it's been done. So if you've got a structural engineer, architect, and building control sign off of the frame, you kind of like, well, I've done I know I've done that right.
Yeah.
If no one sees it and it's gone up, you're
the only one that knows.
You're the only one that knows. Yeah. So it's just how much, and that's all about obviously just paying those people to be on site during what we call stage 5, the construction phase. So these RIBA work stages are all crucial to the kind of key of procurement and managing risk all the way through. So stage 3 is your planning stage, which you're at now, and then you've got stage 4, which is technical design. So that's bringing all the technical designs together, and then there's a stage getting them signed off, and then there's stage 5, which is construction. So the stage 5 bit is if you don't have professionals involved in that, you're limiting yourself to. I'm saying that lots of people don't. They're just happy. They get the drawings. Some people build off planning drawings. People do all sorts of stuff. But my official advice is the more people you have involved through the whole process, the more you're pushing that liability away from yourself to other people. That's so it's just that balance, and it's the cost of those visits and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But again, we're talking, completely up to you. I'll give you the cost of the PCC, but basically, again, bring it all the way back to a very straightforward build. It's not a leisure centre.
No, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Pleasure. No, really excited.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it's great, and just looking forward to sort of raking through it, getting some updated designs. We'll get them back to you. We'll have another chat.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Did you want to actually look at the site?
I'd love to. Yeah. It's always
Okay.
good just to have a little look around.